Yeah, that's right. There's FrankenTruck on the trailer. Test drive did not go according to plan.
Too cold to start a fire, I'm burning diesel, burning dinosaur bones.
So it turns out I still have fuel problems. So while I was waiting for some new parts to come in so that I can throw it at the problem, I got a few other little things done here and there. Put a different radio in. Okay, I installed a different stereo. This one has Bluetooth. It has what's called a, I don't know, Android link or phone link or something like that, although I can't really seem to get that working. Anyways, doesn't really matter. The Bluetooth part is the most appealing part to me because there's a little microphone there, and so that means that I can take phone calls while driving and not have to actually hold the phone up to my ear. I can play music through the stereo. I can put my navigation directions, you know, turn left here. I can put that all on here. You know, I don't really need navigation on my radio. Pretty much everything is done with your phones these days, but having it being able to link up to the stereo is great. I can also use the remote, and I can wire in steering wheel controls to this, and you can actually program them yourself. So depending on how you wire it, you can have lots of different functionality on here that you can add in aftermarket. But those things can also control like the music and stuff that's on my phone. So anyways, I'm pretty pumped about that. So I've got, and this is gonna probably be on some music here. So I have as well a camera located in the back of the cab, looking down on the bed of the truck so that I can hook up a gooseneck pretty easily. The gooseneck ball is kind of right down there. That's kind of laying on top of it, that board, but the boys have been playing around back there. But anyways, I'm gonna put a second backup camera on the license plate, and that's gonna be kind of my primary backup camera. This one here is gonna be mostly for hooking up goosenecks and things like that. I think that tucked in there pretty well. I'm probably gonna end up replacing these with actual screws instead of self-tappers, but they work good for temporarily mounting it and also marking your holes. So I'll probably pull them back out, put regular screws in there. I also need a ground for this camera, and I'll probably tie the ground in there. And then back here, I'm gonna drill a hole right behind the camera so you won't even see any of these wires or anything. It'll go right back through, and zippy tie it on there, and Bob's your mom's sister. I do not plan to hook up the backup cameras to the actual reverse light, reverse indicator, whatever. I am going to put a switch, I think, right over here. I'll have to see how the bezel fits, but basically a switch up, middle, down, and middle will just be off. Up will be the top camera that's on the back of the cab. Down will be the rearmost camera that's below the tailgate there. And I'm just gonna have them wired up basically with the ignition switch. So anytime, well, actually just with the radio. So anytime that the radio is on, I can flip that and I'll have the radio automatically turn to the camera, but I'll choose which camera I'm actually turning on and off, and regardless of whether I'm in reverse or not. Yeah, there's your phone capabilities. And there's the music, better turn that off. Okay, so over here where the fuel tank selector switch would have been, I've got a couple of USB charging ports in there now. And they're wired to the ignition switch, so they turn on and off with the switch. But something pretty neat that I did is back here, the pillar between the front and rear doors, I've got right here 2 more USB charging ports. They're wired into the ignition switch. And then down here, I've got a cigarette lighter power jack right here. that one's constant, so I can hook up, you know, I don't know, a tire pump or a spotlight or something like that. And behind here, I've got my speakers mounted finally in the corners, and they just, you know, kind of barely fit. I had some desktop wood that I cut up and put it in this corner here, and it sounds pretty good. And also the cargo light switch, original one that was right by your head on the pillar. Those never had a light in them to indicate whether they're on. You'd have, I mean, sometimes you can see if it's on, but sometimes you can't. You don't want to be driving down the road with it on. It kind of looks dumb. But so I changed that switch out. Also, I wired it up so it's on constant power. Before it used to be tied in with a door with a dome light, and so when you know, if you wanted to look in the bed, you had to have just the front doors have door switches. You had to have one of the front doors open. You had to also have that turned on. It was kind of dumb. So I did it kind of more the way I wanted. And speaking of dome light, I also put a new LED dome light in the original location there. And it's wired up so, you know, it turns on with the door, or you can have it off, or you can turn it on manually if you want. It's not the original equipment one. It's pretty close that I could find my original one I used to have, but I don't know where it is now. If I can find it, I may put it in, but I also would like to put a headliner in this truck. They're available, but they're super expensive, and there's usually kind of a long lead time that you got to give them. So if I do that, I might try to find the original equipment one, put that in there, and then I'll probably modify it so it's LED and it's switchable on and off and auto. Okay, let me show you guys a little tip for some of my wiring. And that's these guys. It's heat shrink tube, little silicone shrink O-ring there on the ends, and solder in the middle. Let me show you how I use these. Before I strip the wire, I like to slide it on first. Then I strip the wire about the same as I would with a regular crimp style butt connector, but just a little bit more. Then I twist these together in line. Try to be careful that there's no strands sticking out past the ends of the insulation there, because they'll get caught on this. Slide this guy right over top. Take your heat gun, put that solder right in the middle there. I like to seal up the ends first. And then hit that solder right in the middle there. See how that solder wicked out over all that copper? Almost all of it. That is going to be a nice watertight soldered connection. Far better than any crimp style butt connector. Way easier than taking and sliding heat shrink over the ends, soldering it, and then sliding the heat shrink over and trying to shrink it back down. It's like a one-step deal, sort of, kind of, but yeah, these things are awesome. I have got a bunch of these things all over FrankenTruck. So, anyways, there's a little wiring tip for y'all. So those are some things that I got done in the meantime. Stay tuned. Got a video coming up of the solution to the fuel problem that I had, and also the conclusion of that. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.